came at some. Jack Van Poort tweets out of the World Cup. Owen Farrell facing a ban.
This video is the work of Caitlin Johnstone. Obviously put some comments in there. It's just, I think this paper's so good. So agreeable. I'd be so proud of it if I'd written it, but she is, I think she's definitely easily the best. She's just a fantastic thinker. I think maybe he's a bit obsessive, but that's what's got her to be such a good thinker. So it's just the cost really, isn't it? Probably gets her down. Well, that's just my opinion. Nevertheless, this paper is Disrupt the Culture Wars by Caitlin Johnstone. I'll read it, and when I think I want to make a comment, I will. So here we go. She writes, one of the great challenges faced by Westerners who oppose the political status quo today is the way the narrative managers of both mainstream factions continually divert all political energy away from issues which threaten the interests of the powerful, such as economic injustice, war, militarism, authoritarianism, corruption, capitalism, ecocide, and towards issues which don't threaten the powerful at all, like abortion, racism, sexism, homophobia, and transphobia. So, I mean, that's clear enough to me, but just in case it's not clear enough to anyone else, meaning like the two mainstream liberal factions work almost together to divert attention away from what matters to things that won't harm the powerful, but will cause division in society. So them two factions tend to be the liberal left and the centre right. And I agree with her 100%. 100%. It's just like I always say, the state superstructure is one thing. And so she's like saying, you can get issues going on the agenda set by the news media and stuff, and you omit other things which they don't want to talk about, and then the people are like divided as they talk about these provocative culture wars thing. It's like divides like the working class and the middle class. Of course it does. Divides both classes probably a lot. And there's division within the working class against each other. And it diverts attention away from like that cost of living crisis, that money issue that is so crucial to people, that is real. I always say that there's a top and there's a bottom. That's what's real. So yeah, I know I'm diverting away from Caitlin here. I'm not being disrespectful because I'm going to come back to that because it's excellent. But this morning I wrote, so like I challenged myself with a question. I said sometimes I use like phrases such as I might refer to the system left, and yet I'm saying the top bottom's real and left right is something that's artificial, that is just used by the elites for their own power to cause division in society. If top bottom's real and that left right's not real, why do I use left right? And I put, once we educate the public on propaganda, the propaganda science, that's what the elite use, that's when we can get results on moving away from left-right terms and just use top-bottom terms. But for now, unfortunately, they've got an absolute victory. Left-right is, and party names and labels go all over the place are what's used. Then people will see that, when we can educate the people on propaganda science, the propaganda science that's been used against the people themselves, that's when people will see that it's not left as such, it's people. So, I mean, I don't rate the system left, but say you said, oh, you're being left wing, Paul. I said, well, you'll see it's not left when we educate people on propaganda. Then it's just there's a top bottom, and the top manipulates everyone else. It doesn't just manipulate the people at the very bottom; it manipulates most people. Obviously, the ones at the very bottom suffer most. Let's get back to Caitlin's paper. So the second paragraph in her paper. The method of social control serves the powerful in some very obvious ways and is being used very effectively. As long as it remains effective, it will continue to be used. The worse things get, the more urgent the need to fight the class war becomes, and the more vitriolic and intense the artificial cultural war will become in order to prevent political changes which inconvenience the powerful. This is 100% guaranteed. And what's tricky is that all the vitriolic intensity will create the illusion that the culture war has gotten more important, when in reality, it's the class war has. Yeah, the same. Divert away from this intense situation where the system is being seen through. They don't want it to be seen through. They want to keep the power for themselves. I mean, that's what the powerful have always done throughout history, and ours are no different. Back to Caitlin. It's just a straightforward fact that the more miserable, impoverished, and disempowered the public becomes, the more hateful and all-consuming the artificial culture war will be made to prevent revolution. Just chip in there. I think it would even be made more artificial just to prevent radical change. Not that we ever get either radical change or revolution, but that's the goal, to get real change, because we have to educate on the propaganda matrix, or the narrative matrix, as Caitlin calls it. Getting back to Caitlin, that's what's been happening, and that's what will continue to happen. You can hate hearing it, and you can hate me for saying it, but it's a fact, and I think we all really much know it is a fact. Pretty much know it is a fact. So what's to be done about this? Obviously, it's not an option to just throw disempowered groups to the wolves and ignore the abuses they're suffering under, the directed hatred coming after them from the right. And obviously, it's not an option to run to the other side of the artificial partisan divide and play along with a mainstream faction, which says we should only focus on cultural issues, as in Hillary Clinton famously arguing that breaking up the banks won't end racism and sexism. Now, see, Caitlin's got the same view as I do, and she didn't. Well, I suppose because when I give my view, I spell it out as clearly as I can. Caitlin, for me, spells it out crystal clearly for me, but I sometimes think that some people might miss it. Where I say left, right, that we use them terms now, but once we've educated the public on the propaganda matrix, they'll see it's just people, and we don't need left, right. It's just people versus the state superstructure, which state superstructure runs a propaganda matrix against us, the word matrix just implies that it's continuous, and it's always, and it's everywhere, and that's true. And Caitlin implies this, that she agrees with that. Well, she more than implies it, but I'm just saying, in this section here, she says, she refers to the right, and then she says, and obviously it's not an option to run to the other side of the artificial partisan divide. That word artificial she puts in there deliberately, and she's therefore saying it's made up. It's like she's saying what I'm saying. It's a propaganda matrix. She's wanting to push the culture war point, but she's saying that division is artificial. She uses the word artificial. It's a deliberate matrix. It's deliberately designed so that there will be a left and a right, that there will be this division, that there will be this conflict, that the elites at the top can exploit and manipulate purely for themselves. As Caitlin says somewhere else in one of her other papers, and which I take up myself and I've said myself, it's the public, because it's a matrix, they don't have free speech, they have enslaved speech. They just say what the agenda setters say. And the agenda setters make sure that what they say will never, ever harm themselves. Now, getting back to Caitlin's words, as with most problems, the first step towards finding a solution is to bring consciousness to what's happening. Just to interrupt again, this is like where I say that we have to understand the propaganda matrix, and only then would be able to say it's artificial. Until we tell them it's artificial, people won't know, because they're just brainwashed, they're just hypnotized, they're manipulated. They're in this division, they're herded. You're in that cage, left, Labour, Democrat, whatever. You're in this cage, right wing stuff, and we need to be able to show them that. So anyway, she says, Caitlin goes on, draw attention to the fact that marginalised groups are being used and abused by mainstream narrative managers.